Hey there, I'm Ashley, and this is the New Day with Ashley podcast. If you're looking for inspiration from the people in your community that are making a difference, then you're in the right place. Get ready to be encouraged by the stories of my guests who have taken risks, overcome challenges, and created opportunities. It's time to make the most of your new day. Do you desire to scale and grow your business? Maybe you'd like to strengthen your team and boost the performance of your company. Well, the man that can take you there is here. Patrick Metzger is a certified EOS implementer, business coach, and keynote speaker, as well as the CEO and founder of The Greenhouse and most recently, Velocity Masterminds. Patrick is helping businesses transform to make a greater impact in the world. Hi, Patrick. Welcome to New Day. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yes, absolutely, Ashley. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, and when I was starting this podcast, you really were one of the first people that came to my mind.
I appreciate
that. I got to get this guy here. You are a wealth of knowledge, and we go back. I don't even know how many years it is, but to see your business grow and just your personal growth, even too, has been really cool to witness.
Yeah, it's definitely been a wild ride. It still is. I feel like I'm on the roller coaster still, and probably will be for a long time.
I'm surprised I even caught you in town. You're like, well, I'm leaving in 2 hours. So go figure, but I'm glad we got you now. So I kind of want to tell people a little bit about your story, like about your role now, what it is that you do and the businesses that you have, because that's really interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in a nutshell, I'm a professional business coach, have multiple endeavors going on now. And they all kind of come under a recent location that we just opened up in the last few months here called The Greenhouse. And what The Greenhouse really entails is we have, I'm also a certified EOS implementer, which stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. Yeah. So help small to medium-sized businesses. Everyone's from solopreneurs to
I've been there.
$250 million businesses, my biggest businesses almost, and really help them scale, grow, get everybody on the same page, just moving in the right direction. So EOS is part of under the Greenhouse umbrella, and then we have PM and Associates, where I do lots of different trainings, coaching around leadership, communication, employee connection, things like that. And then just recently launched also, which is just starting to kind of take off, Velocity Masterminds, which is a peer group for people that are really looking to dive into not just finding a close business group, but a close business group that really wants more. They want deeper connection. They want a deeper sense of community. They're not just looking for professional growth, but really personal growth as well. And that's kind of been a huge part of my whole journey and just what the Greenhouse is really about. Our tagline is where ideas and individuals grow and flourish for the greater good.
Yeah, I can only imagine like putting all those people under one roof.
Yeah, so it's awesome. Everything that we offer is really centered around the idea of growth and development, whether it's personal, professional, organizational, team. Everybody's personal ceiling or professional ceiling will ultimately be limited by your personal. And it's always about finding the balance between those two in order to find fulfillment, joy, success, all those things in life.
Sure. And like that mastermind thing, I think that has been a missing piece of, you surround yourself with those people and be accountable to them.
Yeah, and it's, one thing I've seen in business is the higher up people move in business too, it gets lonelier and lonelier and lonelier. Right. It's hard to find that true tribe that you really connect with and those people that are in the same boat as you as far as, just trying to grow something. It's a struggle. There's stress. There's anxiety. You need somebody. You need a group of people around you that understand what you're going through. They get it. And they get it, and they have the same goals. They have the same desires. And when you put those people in that audience together in the same room, it is magical what happens between the ideas that are shared, the things that group comes up with. The accountability, like you said, is so big. And just growing together. It's so much more fun growing together with a group like that.
Yeah, I love it. So take us back a little bit. You have this successful company now, three companies. really are for.
Sometimes
How many are there?
And
Yeah.
we're kind of in the process even now of like, all right, what falls under what and what's getting eliminated, and yep.
And so you haven't always had that.
No.
So I'm guessing that there were some challenges and then ultimately like a lot of risks too.
Yes. Some is an understatement.
Okay. A lot?
So going way back, I mean, yeah, I was a teacher for 11 years, upper elementary, middle school, did a ton of coaching. So coaching, teaching, facilitation has always been in my blood. It's what I love. I've always loved just seeing people get more out of themselves.
Sure.
Now it's teams, businesses, still do a lot of individual work as well within all these companies and such. But yeah, I got into my 11th year of teaching, and there was something just nagging at me like, Patrick, there's something else out there. There's more for you. There's a bigger endeavor that you're supposed to embark upon. And I had no idea what it was, but it was there for so long. I mean, probably about 3 to 4 years before I really just faced it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to do it. And I will never forget the night I came home, sat in the patio by my wife. It was about the end of September. And I said, I'm done. And she goes, with what? What do you mean?
With dinner?
Like, yeah, no. That's probably what she was hoping. Yeah. And I go, no, I'm done. I'm done teaching. I said, there's something else. I don't know what it is. And she was, and we had discussions around it and such already, but it was still a surprise, but turned in my resignation shortly thereafter with no idea what I was really going to do.
So how many years ago was this?
This was fall of 2016.
Okay.
So yeah, 5.5 years ago only.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is like, what I'm doing now has only been for a few years.
Wow.
But yet teaching, coaching, all that stuff feels like a lifetime ago. It literally feels like a dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, I left teaching, did some executive recruiting for a while, kind of bounced through some things to sort of find my way. And then kind of one of the big game changers for me was reading the book Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
Which is about starting an online-based business.
Sure.
And anybody that knows Gary V, I mean, he is...
I know Gary V, but I have not read the book. So I'm going to have to read the book.
He's so good. And his story, I mean, of growing up, his parents owned a wine shop, and he learned everything he could about wine. And then he got into the online space, and it just took off for him. And now he's, a gazillionaire with VaynerMedia. And it's his story is amazing. But I read that book, and it really triggered something in me, like, why can't I do that? And at the time, my expertise was not just coaching, teaching. I had a very strong health wellness background, and I saw that as kind of the avenue. So I ended up launching my own online health wellness coaching consulting business, started working with people all over the country. And a big pivot for me then was I started working with a business coach out of San Diego. And when I started working with him, literally within 2 weeks, he almost like slapped me across the face and just opened my eyes to, Patrick, you have so much more gas in the tank. And I remember that's exactly what he said to me. He goes, you are capable of so much more. He goes, I see you standing on a stage, speaking, working with bigger businesses, people. He goes, I get it. You love the health wellness. He's like, you're good at that. And I can see you're a teacher at heart, but he goes, there's way bigger things beyond this for you.
Wow.
So we literally took my health wellness business, went from literally writing nutrition programs and workout programs to more holistic life coaching, because I'm a big believer in the whole picture. Everything has to come together. And then that transitioned into like one-on-one high performance coaching. And then it was a CEO I was working with introduced me to the book Traction, which is kind of the nuts and bolts of the EOS system that I implement now. And I read it and I was sold. I was absolutely sold. Again, came to my wife and I said, I found it. Like this
now
is,
what?
Like this is it. This is what I got to do.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh boy. Cause this was like the 5th thing I'd done in like 2 years.
Sure.
And
like we're just going through things. Yeah.
Got fired along the way, adopted a daughter along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, holy, like what else could happen? And I remember the one question she had was, what does it cost?
Oh yeah.
And I said, it's about $30,000. And she just goes, how are we going to do that? And I said, well, when we adopted our daughter, we had taken a line of credit out against our house. We had since repaid it over the couple years there. And I said, we've been sitting here thinking about what do we do with this line of credit? Do we cancel it? Do we need it? What do we do with it? So I'm a big believer in fate.
Yeah.
So I told her, I'm like, that money is sitting there for a reason.
Wow.
So borrowed $30,000 against our house, went, did the training. About 6 weeks later, started with my very first business out of Jamestown, North Dakota. And fast forward to now, I've worked with dozens of companies nationally, helped pump, tens of millions in revenue for those companies, help owners get their lives back, help companies grow, scale, achieve everything that they've wanted. So it's amazing. To see just the growth in everything that I'm doing now.
Well, and for me to be able to, witness seeing this happen for you and these companies that you're impacting really is incredible. There's that real life example of you've read this in the book, but now you're experiencing it and doing it.
Yeah, it's funny, ever since I've been a teacher, I'm a huge believer in when you teach, you learn as well. Mm-hmm. So that's the funnest part about all of this is when you teach and you coach and you facilitate and you're helping. We have companies that fly in from around the country and sit in our greenhouse space and go through the EOS process or trainings of whatever kind. And there's not a day that ever goes by that I'm not learning in the exact same environment that they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of what has always driven me as a teacher and coach is I always say I'm a sponge for knowledge.
Sure.
I've always said if someone could pay me to just sit and learn stuff all day and not necessarily even apply it, just sit and learn about stuff, I could do that.
I would want you on my trivia team.
If it's Saved by the Bell or Seinfeld, you want me.
Okay. Because I feel like you are a wealth of knowledge though. And so that, goes to who you are.
Yeah. My wife's always baffled. I can't remember what I ate for breakfast, but I can remember the next line in a Seinfeld episode if I turn it on or something. So yeah, lots of worthless knowledge, but it's, that's part of the journey too, of just taking risks and going out and doing what I've done. So many people hesitate to do that too, but it's a learn on your own. When you're an entrepreneur, like I am and so many others, you are literally, you step out on a huge ledge and you kind of throw yourselves to the wolves and it's on you. But I love that. I always say, man, I back me into a corner and that's how I'll perform best.
Sure. Yeah.
Give me no other option but forward or through that wall and I'll do it.
So words of encouragement or a piece of advice then for, people who, they want to impact the world. They want to make a difference. But there's challenges and risks and, it's scary. Mm-hmm. What would you say? Get in a corner?
I think you have to an extent, mm-hmm. And I think it really comes down to two things. Number one is you have to have clarity on what you want. And so many people don't take the time to figure out, number one, who am I? Number two, what do I want? Mm-hmm. And it's never like a finish line, and some people think there's this finish line to these things in life. There's no finish line on anything. It's all about the journey. In my office, I have a PJ Fleck quote, the head coach for the Minnesota Gophers. It says, "The dream is the journey." And it's strategically placed right across from my desk on the wall. So I constantly remember that, but you need clarity on what journey do you want to take? What do you want to be working toward? What kind of impact do you want to make in the world? And what's important to you? What do your values tell you that are really important to you? Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is, I think life is so much I always think sports analogies and coaching, life is so much I'll compare it to a football game. In a football game, even if it's a 20-point blowout, what the crowd doesn't realize is there's many times only a handful of plays that made the difference in that game. An inch here, an inch there, a missed tackle here, a turnover there, just so few things. And in life, until you learn to create those opportunities for yourself or recognize those opportunities, they're hard to come by, hard to recognize sometimes. And I think so many people are afraid to take that risk and jump on one of those opportunities because what might happen? And so many people are afraid of going backward too in life. And I always say, if you're going to jump across a cliff for this huge precipice, you have to back up and you better take a running start. So you aren't going to be able to just jump across from where you are. A lot of times in life, you have to back up. You have to step away. Sometimes it's financially, or you got to put more time into something or whatever it may be, but
get a little traction.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a process of, any forward momentum, you have to have backward momentum to propel forward. you think of a bow or anything, that's how it just works. And a lot of people aren't afraid to take that step back and jump into an opportunity where they feel drawn to it or pulled towards something bigger, greater, more important, a desire, but they just don't take that risk because there's so many different fears, money and what could happen, what will people think? I mean, but you have to. And until your pain is great enough or the desire is great enough, most people won't do that.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think and it's that journey of like just going through and just, eventually just taking the leap like, hey, I'm done.
Yeah. And people,
I have to do this.
I speak a lot about this too when I do some different keynotes around, you'll never find who you truly are and who you're truly meant to be until you walk through a lot of those flames and try to blast through those obstacles, because it's truly in those moments that you're forged and created and you find who you really are. And that's why so many people sit there and they struggle thinking about, who am I? What's important to me? What do I want? I don't know. You have to just start the journey in order to figure that out.
Right.
It's kind of like an artist starting with a block of granite and they just start chipping away. They don't even know what they're going to create yet.
Sure.
But as you chip more and more and more, and you go through more and more and more of that, the picture starts to take shape, or the sculpture starts to take shape. But you have to be willing to start on it first. And I think so many people think they're going to get the clarity of what it needs to look like first. The clarity comes through the journey.
Now, that is inspiring. And if that isn't, I don't know what is, because that, just to take that leap. So how can people get a hold of you if they want, to help with their business, find out more about this greenhouse, and even their mastermind? Yeah,
right now, we have I don't know how many different websites and emails and all of this. So
I'm on all of them.
Easiest thing would be just email me, Patrick at patrick-metzger.com. The greenhouse email is info@growing and then the number 4 success.com. My phone number 701-412-1710. I'm very, very personal, upfront communication. I would much rather have somebody, hey, swing by, sit down, face to face, get to know them. That's how we love to do business, because that's how relationships, that's how community is formed, and just trust and rapport.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, we will share all that information so people can get connected. And thank you so much for being here and sharing all your words of wisdom.
Thanks so much, Ashley.
Wow, what a great episode. Thank you so much for joining me for New Day with Ashley. And remember to make the most of your new day.